Solana is on a winning streak, and right now it's on track to reach a new price point of $750 per Solana token this year of 2025. It's breaking records in nearly every single metric category, and it's leaving competition completely behind in the dust. It's proven itself to be the #1 smart contract platform, bar none. That said, Solana also has the potential to be the most powerful, if not a tremendously powerful settlement layer, enabling every financial service possible. And we know that more payments on Solana leads to new users coming on board into Web3 on-chain, leading to more asset issuers until finally the entire financial stack moves on chain. So it's been pretty clear so far, Solana's not here to partake, but to take over. If this sounds interesting to you, this is what today's show is all about, with a quick look at how markets are doing in general first. So let us dive in. My name is Jessica, and I'm so happy you're here today. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay, first thing is first, we're checking out Bitcoin's price. We know that since yesterday's video of mine, Bitcoin has dropped down a bit, a couple thousand or so. We're now looking at a Bitcoin around $100,000 per Bitcoin. Do not despair, don't get down about this, because the price of Bitcoin is simply one indicator. We have to look at the big picture to understand how the actual Bitcoin and crypto markets are doing. And the second metric that always matters so much now, anyway, that we're in the future, is in terms of how much new volume has come into Bitcoin's ETFs across the top funds of the world, institutional funds. And as you can see on my screen here, yesterday we ended the day with $248.7 million into Bitcoin's ETFs. We don't have data yet for today's date, January 23rd, because it does depend on market open and market close on the East Coast. You would know this already if you're a regular viewer, in which case, hello, and I'm so happy you're here. But what is going to matter more is to take a granular look at how the ETF inflows have been moving across the top funds. And as you can see here, this is by Marty Party on X, and he shows us the breakdown, right? I'm not sure if you can see, hopefully you can see all the different colors and what they represent, but you can see that on the far right of this chart that he shares, you would see that in general for the month of January, and definitely this last week and a half, you can see that the ETF inflows have spiked tremendously. We're virtually seeing all-time highs outside of the prices or new inflow value we saw late October. But aside from late October, we are at all-time highs since the beginning, since they were first launched, since the ETFs were first legalized. So this is extremely bullish, guys. Next, yesterday, according to Arkham, which is an intelligence on-chain company or service, they reported that BlackRock made their biggest Bitcoin purchase this year of $600 billion worth of Bitcoin. So this is not extremely bullish. I don't know what is, guys. And then next we hear from Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, which is amazing because he used to be such a skeptic. And then now, as you'll hear in this video clip I'll play for you, he's now the biggest believer in Bitcoin and says, I don't know if he predicts, but if you listen to it, he says that it could likely go up to a $500,000+ Bitcoin. So just take a listen. Let me know what you think as I sip some cafecito.
If you're frightened of your debasement of your currency, or you're frightened of your economic or political stability of your country, you can have an internationally based instrument called Bitcoin that will overcome those local fears. And so I'm a big believer in the utilization of that as an instrument. And so if that becomes true, and you see that it could be a proper hedge against maybe hope security or equities. Yeah. The question is, Could you see a 2 or 5% allocation? I was with a sovereign wealth fund during this week, and
This is the part
that
you have
was
to
the
listen to.
conversation. Should we have a 2% allocation? Should we have a 5% allocation? If everybody adopted that conversation, but it would be 500,000, 600,000, 700,000
You see?
for Bitcoin.
Well, does it also?
I'm not promoting it, by the way. So that is not my promotion.
Isn't that amazing? You see, 500, 600, $700,000 Bitcoin he could foresee. So this is just beautiful. And if you notice the conviction he was speaking with, go find this video on your own and just watch his face. So much conviction, which is beautiful to see in our leadership. Next, we have a statement here, and this sort of spurred a whole conversation on X today. Goldman Sachs CEO Solomon says, "I do not see Bitcoin as a threat to the US dollar." Now, some are saying, they can coexist together, Bitcoin and the US dollar, and they certainly can, and they are right now. But there are different theories, of course. If you've been in crypto or Bitcoin for some time, you would know that ideally and technically, Bitcoin was designed to be a peer-to-peer cash. So in many ways, it was designed to be used like the US dollar is used. Now, transactions take a long time, several minutes, to settle on Bitcoin's blockchain. So this is why it hasn't been so practical. This is in large part due to what gave rise to like Ethereum and then, Solana, et cetera, which we're going to get into in this video. But ideally, Bitcoin was designed to be a peer-to-peer cash. That said, we know the US dollar is inflating like crazy. Last year, it inflated 25%, meaning our purchasing power with the US dollar went down 25%. But we know that there have been talks of a CBDC or a central, a central digital banking currency or something like that it stands for. And there's really talks of this globally. We know China's already executing on this in large part. I haven't followed the news on China regarding this closely, so I won't speak too much on that. But anyway, I believe it was squashed. Actually, this whole bill on a CBDC was squashed before Donald Trump came into office. But the point is, and the reason I bring this up is because it's part of the national conversation of money. And we know that the US dollar is, I don't want to say entirely broken, but it's faulty. It needs a new denominating asset. And we know that Donald Trump alluded to this, and several other top sort of financial leaders have alluded to how we should have, that's part of the whole Bitcoin strategic reserve, is having some sort of plan that basically denominates the US dollar in Bitcoin. So anyway, part of a larger conversation, which we won't get into here. And the only reason I bring it up is because if that were to be the case, then in many ways, yeah, the US dollar could coexist with Bitcoin, but really it'd be Bitcoin giving the US dollar value. So anyway, we'll see how things play out. But I thought I would mention this because it also, who knows, speaks of perhaps a level of ignorance or perhaps a level of insight. Maybe he's aware, since he is in the top sort of like echelon of like financial like investor and leaders in the US and in the world, then maybe he knows he's part of these conversations on how the US dollar will be saved or linked or tied to Bitcoin. Who knows? So moving on, this is by Benjamin Cohen, CEO and founder of ITC Crypto, ITC Stocks. Really great thought leader. We get a lot of our content from him, but he shares this very interesting chart. It's brief, guys, but basically the blue line, if you can see my screen here, represents the halving cycle, right? The sort of maroonish line represents halving cycle 2, the orange line is halving cycle 3, and then the green line, which is at the bottom here, maybe you can't see it, I'll zoom in for you if you can see my screen. The green line would be where we are now, which is halving cycle 4. And as you can see, what happens right around now historically is when Bitcoin's price straight across the board in the past 3 halving cycles starts to go up, right? So we'll have to see, but we're basically like just right on target. So it's a waiting game. They say oftentimes being a good investor is not just deploying fast, which I did get into in yesterday's video if you haven't seen it, but it's also about knowing how to sit on your hands, knowing how to be patient, knowing how to sit with your anticipation and your wiggles, so to speak, and just do nothing. Like oftentimes that is the signature hallmark of a good investor or in life in general, right? It's easy to make decisions when you're stressed or under a lot of pressure because you feel you have to change something. And oftentimes you do, but oftentimes if you can just get some space or just sit through the storm, then right after you can see clearly. And then that's usually when it's a good time to make a decision. But of course, all scenarios are different. But moving on and just sort of honing in or focusing in on this topic of halvings. This is by Aporia on X. And they say, he or she, we don't know, although they appear to be Russian. They say, halvings increase Bitcoin's production costs, effectively raising the price floor, right? Or the bottom price, like the floor. So this will be a key metric throughout the bear market. So they make 2 points. One of the few objective metrics independent of market price movements, unlike market value to realized value, MVRZ, or the pool multiple, etc. And then 2, this helps identify low risk buying opportunities during bear markets. And then this last bit is sort of like the caveat or like the whole sort of like point of this tweet, the synopsis or the whole point of it, the thesis, right, is identifying bottoms is far more important than identifying tops. If you can determine where fundamental value drives the price, speculative tops become irrelevant and far less of a concern. This is once again key investor mentality, which is you make your money on the front end by buying things for cheap. This is how top VCs and funds do it. This is how it even works in real estate is you buy things cheap and if you do, then you know even if it goes up like 10%, 25%, or if it goes up like 1,000%, which things do in crypto sometimes, then you made money no matter what. It's just a question of how much. And then here we have an interesting bit by USDC. You know, there's USDT and then USDC. USDC's mother company is called Circle, and this is by their CEO. And he says, because once again, all these top like financial CEOs, they're in the know-how. Like a lot of them are advising Donald Trump or talking to him. It's not on the record, but you can hear it in statements like this. So let's take a listen. But he basically says that Trump will be issuing multiple executive orders on crypto soon. And we know he's been delivering. In a second, we're going to look at what else he's been doing. But he's been in office like 3 days, and he's already delivered on so many promises, which is so refreshing for once to see in governing body, our president, you know?
Crypto, yesterday not mentioned in the president's inaugural address. We haven't seen any executive orders related to crypto yet. We did see some on immigration, trade, energy, TikTok. Are you concerned at all that given what we saw in the last 24 hours, this isn't necessarily as much of a priority for the president as many had thought?
Not at all. I expect to see executive orders and I expect to see key agenda items here. There's a lot to do, and I expect the Trump administration to continue to be in the limelight with a lot of action, and obviously we're going to start seeing action from the regulatory agencies, action in Congress, and so I think you'll see that out of the White House as well.
Well, it's interesting. You have a few things going on at the same time. You have the Biden administration really going against congressional decision-making here. When it came to Staff Accounting Bulletin number 121, of course, that this would be addressing rules around accounting for the crypto industry. At Davos, it's been reported that you've been talking about how this might be one of the first things that is addressed. And if it is, what does it really unlock?
Well, I mean, I think it was in the policy platform for President Trump, and I know it's a major issue for industry and certainly within the broader Republican leadership. And so my expectation is that we will see that repealed, whether that's by executive order. I don't know the legality of how all these things are done, to be frank, but I do think that will be repealed. And just as you heard from the CEO of State Street, Ron O'Hanley, banks need this clarity and corporations need this clarity so they can hold crypto assets on their balance sheets and provide custody and do other things and not have it be punitive, which really SAB 121 has been punitive in many respects and is a huge headache for public companies. And so I think making this all more capital markets friendly, custodian friendly, financial institution friendly is going to take place.
So there you have it. Trump is definitely on to it. It's just a matter of being patient, guys. So that said, to summarize the last 2 days of Donald Trump's presidency, we know that he already fired or let go of Gary. We know that the FTC or the Commission Futures Trading, something like that, Commission got new management. And I did some reading on the side to find out who they are. I'm not sharing it in today's video because I want to keep this nice and concise for you. But if you go look at who he put in place in leadership at the CFTC, they're like properly stacked people and well qualified. That said, the SEC starts its crypto task force as well. I got into this in great detail yesterday. We know that Hester Pierce is going to be leading this. We know Ross Ulbricht was freed, the founder of Silk Road that was sentenced to life in jail. He was freed. I can only begin to imagine how he feels. Man. Next, we know that Tornado Cash, like the mixer that was sanctioned earlier last year by the OFAC, they removed sanctions mainly due to the language that was used in criminalizing them, because Tornado Cash runs off of decentralized smart contracts. So nothing is actually held or owned by them. So they were found, their whole guilty resolution or conviction was revoked because Tornado Cash in itself cannot own any of the money, right? Any of the cash. Anyway, it was linked to like a whole North Korea accusation. Anyway, that was lifted, which is great because the advancement of technology has to exist, and everything since the beginning of time associated with money and trade has been linked to criminal activity. It's just the nature of humanity. There's good, there's bad, and it's this huge yin-yang balance act, or we hope anyway that good will always win, and it does, as we've seen through this presidential election. But nevertheless, moving on, we also know that there was a second Ethereum foundation formed. I don't have it here right now with me, but it's someone else. Go look it up. Well-respected investor in the crypto space just started a second Ethereum foundation, which is great because the original Ethereum foundation was just kind of lagging, kind of sitting on their hands. And next, we covered this in detail yesterday, but I'll say it again, a $500 billion investment to be released over the next 4 years was approved yesterday, being led, it's like this new AI coalition being led between Sam Altman, OpenAI, Larry Ellison from Oracle, and Masa, like the infamous or famous billionaire investor. I believe he's Japanese. Anyway, so all of that said, all we have to add, as Jake Berman here on X says, is we just need to add the strategic Bitcoin reserve and remove taxation from crypto assets, and we're golden. These things do take time, guys, but as we can see, time is flying and time is of the essence, and Trump is killing it. He's just executing on everything, which is amazing, amazing, amazing to see, and I'm so grateful for it. But as we can see here on the screen, moving on by Marty Party again, he shows us an interesting chart, right? And we know there's a relationship between the US money supply and global liquidity, and we can see that right now both are on the rise up, both. I hope you can see. I'll zoom in for you. So there's like money supply at the top and then global liquidity, and they're both pumping up. So this could indicate, of course, that there will be an injection of liquidity into the market. This will be a little controversial and interesting to see how it plays out, because we know that the US debt is a huge problem and at the forefront of why Donald Trump wants and has so many plans on how to stimulate the market, and what is largely behind this whole Bitcoin strategic reserve. But that's going to take a while to execute on, while in the meantime printing money to even buy more Bitcoin is in the best interest of the US, as it is for any nation in the world. So, and something needs to be done about addressing the economy now. So I can see how that'll still be something that happens. But anyway, in terms of where we are in light of the market, right? Like, we're all waiting for this golden altcoin season rally, the parabolic phase. We're in phase 3 of the 4 phases to this bull run that always happens after a halving in Bitcoin and crypto. And as of now, according to Benjamin Cohen and the chart he shares with us, we'll take a look, zooming in, we'll see that the blue line here at the top is Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's price. The whole red zone at the top is altcoin season range. This big jagged red line across the screen, this is the altcoin season index. So this tells us when this big squiggly red line enters into the green area, we know, it enters into the red area up above, we know that we're in altcoin season range. And as of right now, you can see we're basically literally in the middle. We're literally in the middle of this chart, which means we're not here or there yet. Once again, because we have what I coined to be white swan events happening in the world right now, like the first Bitcoin crypto US president in the world, meme coins being created by the president, we have, AI as a huge factor and therefore AI agent coins. We have just a very different environment, global environment than we've ever seen before. So we can expect unusual results as well. So all of that, said to say that we're still within historical range. As you saw a moment ago with the halving cycle chart I shared, we're still very much so within range. But as of this hot minute, as of today's video, we're in the middle. We haven't left Bitcoin dominance and we haven't entered into the altcoin season range. And as you can see here, so we're like zooming in on this thought, right? This is by Dan. Crypto Trades on X, also a great thought leader. He says, during this cycle, Bitcoin dominance has consistently moved higher as BTC has outperformed the majority of altcoins. Since the elections, it has seen some large volatility and has somewhat stalled its uptrend. There is, however, no strong reversal either, so I would suggest to keep an eye out on this local range. I agree. Any move below 54%, as you can see on the bottom here where I'm circling, this is the 54% range. So we'd have to break below that, right? So he says any move below 54% would likely kick off some sort of alt season for a couple of weeks at least, as it would make for a good case of a high on the Bitcoin dominance chart. Until then, altcoin outperformers are very sector specific, and I honed in on this yesterday's video and the video before. Okay, these are not normal times, although there is a general trend we're following and falling within, but this has been very much so an insider's top picks, narrative specific sort of altcoin season that we're seeing. So this is what he says, right? He says altcoin outperformers are very sector specific, and the runs itself usually don't take much more than a few weeks at best. So this is interesting. It's like a loaded statement, but basically the top narratives, as you know, if you're new here, then I'll tell you, it's like AI agents, specifically AI agents. It's Solana, it's meme coins, and the big ones, the ones with big communities, right? It's the ones that get listed on Binance. It's the ones that get listed on Bybit. Think in those terms, right? And then there's the blue chips, right? Like your Chainlink, your based AI, your hybrid utility meme coins like Bonk, right? Like Pepe coin, stuff like that. Anyway, moving on, guys. And yes, I'll be making an update on based AI. So just hang tight either tomorrow or Monday. So I did see your comment in the section below. So I'll be bringing you this update soon. Anyway, shifting gears a little bit towards ETH, right? We know that Ethereum's been lagging a little bit or just moving a little slow. I don't know all the reasons. I'm not part of the Ethereum core, although I do know some people who are. And who knows? That's just the truth. Who knows why Ethereum hasn't been pumping like crazy? I even hate to get into any sort of like defamatory type content regarding Ethereum because I do respect Vitalik a lot as a founder. I think it's incredible what he designed, right? And the fact he was able to build a team, a decentralized team at that. So I'm literally sharing no hate whatsoever towards Vitalik or the team over there, but it's just a fact, right? Crypto in large part is just a financial betting market in so many ways, right? Backed by utility and real community. And it's just been falling behind Solana. That's the truth. It's a fact. You look at the charts. Been falling behind. And I guess there was some article in Bloomberg, we'll graze over it quickly, but they basically say that, he's just tweeting a lot of philosophy on like upgrades and how to do all these decentralized sort of, work within Ethereum's decentralized community. And someone put it, a little rudely here, saying no one is interested in your crypto philosophizing to Vitalik. But anyway, I just hope that they're able to rally, pick up the speed. Otherwise, I know traditional TradFi is going to initially prefer Ethereum just because it's literally had no hacks like ever. And it's very reliable. But at the same time, if you just follow the numbers, it's Solana, right? Solana's been crushing. We'll get into that here in a second. But then as Alex Becker said it here, and I said it in my show yesterday too, I should start to tweet things that I say in my videos that happen. But I said it, I said Donald Trump shared with everyone right away how many like 47 or 4.7 million, or like he bought a bunch of all the top, like Ethereum, Solana, I think Sui, Bitcoin, all in line of 47 or 4.7 to commemorate, him being the 47th president. Anyway, he shared this publicly because that's marketing. It's just marketing 101. You buy something, you go tell everyone about it, right? So they come buy more of it. It makes what you have more valuable, et cetera, et cetera. So Alex Becker says this as well, except he's a little rude about it. He says, ETH is trash. This doesn't mean it's not getting the exact same BlackRock playbook they applied to Bitcoin. This is the part I agree to. This, especially the last statement, is what I agree to. But then Becker goes on to say, BlackRock spent last year crushing the price while buying F tons and then blew it up, right? And this is what I've been saying in every show of mine. They buy things off the books, guys. Like, not everything that you see is the whole truth. It's part of the truth, and it's deliberately published at the right time. But this is this last statement Alex Becker says. He says the same is happening now with ETH. You think Trump bought 100 million for fun? Absolutely not. So yeah, he says huge up OTW. Yeah. That said, we know that the stable coins, right, and their market cap has hit a new all-time high, reaching a historic 212.99 billion, according to DeFi Llama, with Tether remaining dominant at $138.83 billion in market cap, and Circle's USDC saw an 11.23% surge, hitting 50.86 billion. So stable coins continue to solidify their role as a cornerstone of the crypto economy. Could we see even bigger milestones soon? I think so. I think so. It's awesome. It's awesome to see stable coins finally taking like a strong position at on the blue chip table. And we know that Solana's stablecoin growth has been off the charts. Literally, guys, I'm going to show you this chart, zoom in on it. And this is just to give you some perspective. This is by Jack Kubinick. And they say Solana added 3.5 billion in stablecoins TVL between March of 2024, so last year, and this last Friday. Okay, 3.5 billion, remember that. And it added another 3.5 billion in stables between Friday and Monday. So throughout a weekend, it added the same amount of TVL as it did in the whole last previous year. And that's what you can see on the chart here. Unprecedented. Not only that, but by Ryan O'Connor here on X, he also says Solana apps earned 73.3% of all crypto app revenue yesterday, a new high for the chain. Next in line were BNB, Ethereum, and Base. Right? And the total liquidity staking tokens, or the LST, on Solana surged to 10.24 billion, a new all-time high. Not only that, but Solana saw an inflow of over 96 million from other chains in the last 24 hours. Because once again, this is an example of how things work in crypto and in life in general. The hotter something becomes, or the more attention it gets, the more attention it's gonna get. And money flows where attention goes, right? So it's just the beginning for Solana, guys. Wow. And then we have Benjamin Cohen again showing us a chart that basically shows how the new amount of followers to Solana's Twitter X account correlated with Solana's price, which is one of the most sound metrics you can ever have, right? You always need to be suspicious of any crypto token project that has no followers on Twitter X, and then it has a crazy price. It's usually being pumped by a few people. Next, there's a very interesting thread, which I won't get into here, but it's by Kyle Samani. And he, go follow him on Twitter X if you want to be in the loop. But they share this article, right? Or basically explaining the Solana thesis. Look it up, go read about it. But it basically explains how Solana is going to win and how it's basically going to draw in all the money from TradFi financial markets. So, and you have, this is by Solana Floor, and we have them reporting that Eric Balkunas, who I covered a moment ago, said that Solana futures ETFs could hit the market by March. So in a little over a month, guys, we could be seeing a Solana ETF, potentially. Remember that Eric Balkunas has been really good about calling these ETFs, but it doesn't mean it's a given. It doesn't mean it's a fact, but he's been quite spot on. I remember when he talked about the Bitcoin ETFs or et cetera, he was spot on. So we'll see. And then here by Byzantine General, he says, Solana looks pretty good. Massive shakeout, OI nuke, high volume, coins changing hands, perpetual basis neutral. I could see a bit more chop, so a little bit more sideways, because we're at OI resistance, but it might have already bottomed out. So basically saying we could be seeing another spike from here. That said, we also have the DeFi, sort of decentralized finance AI tokens or narrative heating up. There was a 50% rise or surge today or yesterday, depending on where you are in the world. So, and I've been saying this in my past shows as well, so it's really awesome to see it pumping. We have Defileo on Twitter X also saying, neglecting AI and DeFi sectors is a crime. Many overlooked AI agents at 100-200 mil market cap. Today it surged with a market cap exceeding 20 billion. Here's my top 8 low cap DeFi agents or decentralized finance AI agents. Take a screenshot, go check them out. This is not financial advice. I'm always just sharing alpha with you because I want you to be informed, guys. All right, guys, so that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you're ready because despite us not being in already the parabolic phase of this bull run, we know that it's starting soon. We know that it's right around the corner and it's time for us simply to reevaluate what we're holding, to make sure we're prepared, prepare our schedules, make sure that we're supported. It's just time to get ready because the time is here. And in the meantime, we know Solana's pumping. It's where all the value is going. And yeah, without further ado, I will be back here again tomorrow. Thank you so much. Let's catch you guys in my next video. Ciao.